Ron Paul is formally out of the race, leaving Mitt Romney the last Republican standing. And you know what that means. Now is the time on Trifecta when we play Veepstakes. I'm Steve Green. Let's bring on Scott Ott and Bill Whittle and let the names begin. Scott, let's start with you. Who would you like to see Romney pick, and who do you think he'll end up picking if they're not the same person?
Well, of course, as most of our viewers know, constitutionally, the role of the vice president is to make public statements that bring ridicule and shame upon the White House, or at least that's what we've seen for the last 3 years. So given that, there are innumerable politicians who would fit that bill and could fulfill those duties. But actually, I don't have a particular name that I desire for Mitt Romney to pick. I really think it's got to be somebody that Romney wants. But I love how George Bush once asked what the difference was between Dick Cheney and his opponent's vice presidential running mate. And Bush's answer was, Dick Cheney could be president.
Oh. That is what you got to look for first and foremost. All right, Bill, the two names maybe getting bandied about the most are probably Chris Christie and Marco Rubio. And you know what? If you read the headlines or watch the Sunday shows, they're both doing a pretty darn good job of auditioning for the role. So you think it's going to be one of them or maybe somebody else?
It'd be fairly awesome if he selected Hillary Clinton, wouldn't it? Wouldn't that just be like, oh my God, oh my God. Yeah, I hear a lot about Rubio and Christie. I feel a lot better about Rubio than I do about Chris Christie, frankly. Chris Christie is not by any stretch of the imagination a conservative. He's pro-gun control. He's pro a lot of things that we don't like. And I think whoever Mitt Romney gets, we ought to have somebody that's pulling him to the right and not towards the sort of the mushy middle. I actually really favor Paul Ryan. And people say, well, he's a little dorky and wonky and he's not really on fire in the way that it's almost like a Romney clone. But I'll tell you one thing about Paul Ryan. If you select Paul Ryan as your running mate, you are making a pretty clear statement that you consider the debt crisis to be the single great catastrophe facing this nation. It's far more destructive than Iran or anything else combined, frankly. If you go with Paul Ryan, I think you could make a pretty strong case to the conservative base that you are serious about the spending. And anybody who's been to a Tea Party rally will tell you it's all about the spending. It's about the spending, the spending, the spending. Paul Ryan is the bravest man in the Congress and has produced budgets that have a path to fiscal sanity. So he'd be my choice. If Romney picks Paul Ryan, I'll be feeling real good, at least about going down. If we go down in defeat, at least we're going down on the issue that matters.
Yeah, I've got real mixed feelings about Ryan. On the one hand, I think he'd be a great addition to the ticket. On the other hand, he's still really young, and I think he's doing such a great job in Congress that I would hate to lose him there. Yeah, Scott, here's the kicker. Who will be Obama's Veep? You know, since the gay marriage flap a couple of weeks ago, well, you alluded to this. There's been talk that Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton will switch jobs, a rumor from last year. She'd be on the bottom of the ticket. That'd go a long way towards shoring up blue-collar Democrats. So what do you think?
Well, I think it's a mixed bag, and I've heard that talk, and frankly, I think you should give some credence to it. I mean, Barack Obama has got to be looking back at that pick and saying, wait a minute, the whole reason I picked Joe Biden was because he was statesmanlike? I mean, how did that ever happen? However, I think that there's it's the gravitas, that's right, of the Gaffmeister. I think that the thing that mitigates against that or militates against that is the fact that Barack Obama would have to acknowledge that he had erred in a decision, that he would have to make the acknowledgement that he had made a mistake. The only way that this is really going to happen is if Joe Biden suddenly gets a craving to move back to his childhood home of Scranton and spend more time with family. Other than that, we're going to see Obama-Biden all the way through.
Sure. I just want to mention that Gravitas of the Gaffmeister will make an excellent name for a rock band. All right, Bill, be honest now because you're usually so reticent on this show. Will Romney's pick really matter much, do you think?
Yes, I think it'll matter enormously. And I was just going to say, if the Democrats drop Biden, I think Romney ought to select Joe Biden to be his vice presidential running mate, because that would be a sign of such confidence. It'd be such an in-your-face move. All right, we're going to win. We're going to win with Joe Biden. It's like if you're playing, you're playing half-court basketball and you got Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan can afford to pick the guy who always gets picked last because he's Michael Jordan. That's just a little thought there that's probably not going to happen. Yeah, look, Scotty, Steve, brother, this does matter a lot because as we know, Mitt Romney is not popular with the base. Mitt Romney is widely perceived to be the most liberal candidate that the Republicans have fielded in forever. And the pick of a vice president with solid conservative credentials will go a long way to reassuring those conservatives who are a little worried about Mitt Romney. Marco Rubio, I've heard many times, Marco Rubio really gets this country, understands this country. He's young, he's charismatic, doing a good job. I think he's probably ready. The great thing about Barack Obama, of course, is that he's lowered the bar so much for the president of the United States that you can always say, was this guy qualified? Well, he's more qualified than the guy that won in 2008. But I do think that the pick needs to be somebody who reassures that conservative right side of the base, because I don't think Romney needs any more credentials with independents and moderates. I think he is the most moderate candidate we fielded in a very long time.
Yeah, that's a good point. And you know what, folks? I'm kind of amazed at the depth of talent the GOP has for the Veep this year. It really stands in stark contrast to the race for the top of the ticket. You know, I love Nikki Haley, but I'm pretty sure North Carolina is already in the bag. Rob Portman could help a lot in Ohio, but you know what? He's not much different from Romney, and that plays to what Bill was just saying. And while I disagree with him on a lot of issues, you know what? Chris Christie might just put New Jersey in play, which would hurt Obama tremendously. And you know he'd be great in the debates. So I'm going to disagree with Bill on this one. I'm going to go with the big guy. Hey, it's a moderate year. People might be looking for that after 4 years of leftism. So let us know who you want for Veep down in the comments. And I can't wait to see the Rubio birthers show up. For PJ TV, I'm Steve Green.